The stars burned cold above the jagged peaks of Clyros 7, their light barely piercing the thin atmosphere of the barren world. Captain Elias Varn stood at the edge of the human encampment, his powered armor glinting faintly under the distant starlight. The suit, a marvel of Terran engineering, hummed softly, its servos primed for combat. Yet, tonight it felt heavier than ever, not from the weight of its titanium ceramic plating, but from the burden of words that still echoed in his mind. Lieutenant Zara Kren, the Clyrosian liaison officer, had spoken them just hours ago in the command tent. Her violet eyes, sharp as the crystalline spires of her homeworld, had fixed on him with a mix of disdain and pity. "You humans," she'd said, her voice cutting like a plasma blade. "You cling to your machines, your armor, your guns, as if they make you strong. But they only hide your weakness. You're fragile without them, Captain. Strip away your toys and what are you? Nothing." Elias tightened his grip on the railgun slung across his chest, its cold metal grounding him. The words stung because they weren't entirely wrong. Humanity had clawed its way to the stars on the back of its technology, its ingenuity. The Clyrosians, with their natural resilience, telepathic unity, and near-indestructible physiology, saw humans as lesser soft creatures who needed tools to survive. But Elias had seen what humans could do, even without their toys. He'd seen it on a dozen worlds, in battles where hope was thinner than the air on Clyros 7. And yet Zara's words gnawed at him. The camp was quiet, save for the faint hum of the perimeter drones and the occasional crackle of the comms. The Joint Human Clyrosian Task Force had been stationed here for 3 months, hunting a rogue faction of Clyrosian separatists who'd been raiding supply lines. The alliance was uneasy at best. The Clyrosians tolerated humans for their tech. Humans tolerated the Clyrosians for their strength. Trust was a rare commodity. Elias turned his gaze to the horizon, where the separatist stronghold lay hidden in the crags. Tomorrow, the task force would launch a coordinated assault. He'd spent weeks planning it, mapping every ravine, calibrating every drone. But Zara's words had planted a seed of doubt. What if the Clyrosians were right? What if humanity's reliance on tech was a crutch? He shook his head, trying to dislodge the thought. Doubt was a luxury he couldn't afford. Not now. Not when lives depended on him. The next morning, the command tent buzzed with tension. Human soldiers checked their gear, pulse rifles, exosuits, neural link drones, while Clyrosian warriors stood apart, their scaled skin shimmering faintly, their minds linked in silent communion. Elias stood at the hollow table, projecting a 3D map of the separatist stronghold. Zara stood across from him, her posture rigid, her expression unreadable. "The plan is simple," Elias said, his voice steady despite the weight in his chest. "Alpha Squad human forces will advance through the eastern ravine, using drones to scout and suppress enemy positions. Beta Squad Clyrosian warriors will flank from the west, cutting off their retreat. Air support will be on standby, but we're keeping it minimal to avoid detection." Zara's lips curled slightly, not quite a sneer but close. "Your drones and toys again, Captain. Why not let us handle the assault? We don't need machines to win." Elias met her gaze, his jaw tightening. "Because we're stronger together. Your strength, our tech. It's why this alliance works." "Works?" she said, her voice low but sharp. "Your kind slows us down. You hide behind your armor, your screens, your plans. If you fought like us, with nothing but your will, you'd understand what strength really is." The human soldiers in the tent stiffened, their hands pausing over their gear. Elias felt their eyes on him, waiting for his response. He could have snapped back, could have pointed out that Clyrosian arrogance had cost them battles before. But he didn't. Instead, he leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "Lieutenant Kren, if you think humans are weak without their tools, you're welcome to test that theory after this mission. For now, we follow the plan." Zara's eyes narrowed, but she said nothing. The tension in the tent lingered like smoke, but the briefing continued. Orders were given, coordinates confirmed, and the task force mobilized. The ravine was a death trap. Jagged rocks loomed overhead, casting shadows that hid sniper nests and tripwires. Elias led Alpha Squad, his armor's HUD feeding him real-time data from the drones ahead. The separatists were ready, Plasma bolts scorched the air, and the ground trembled from improvised explosives. The drones took out 2 sniper posts before they could fire, but the enemy was adapting, using the terrain to their advantage. Beta Squad status. Elias barked into his comms. Zara's voice came through, clipped and cold. We're in position. Engaging now. On the HUD, Elias saw the Clyrosian signatures moving fast. Too fast. They were charging the stronghold's western flank without waiting for the drones to clear the path. Damn it. He'd warned them about the Separatists' heavy plasma cannons. If they rushed in, a deafening explosion rocked the ravine. Elias's HUD flared with alerts. 3 Clyrosian signatures gone. Their telepathic link severed. Zara's voice crackled through the comms, strained but defiant. Cannon emplacement. We didn't see it. Regrouping now. Elias cursed under his breath. Hold position, Beta. Drones are moving to suppress. No, Zara snapped. We don't need your machines. We'll take it ourselves. Zara, wait. The comms went silent. Elias's heart pounded as he watched the Clyrosian signatures surge forward again. They were brave, no question, but bravery without strategy was suicide. He switched channels. Alpha Squad, double time it. We're moving to support Beta. The humans pushed through the ravine, drones weaving ahead to clear traps. Plasma fire rained down, scorching the ground and pinging off Elias's armor. A bolt grazed his shoulder, the suit's shielding flaring but holding. He gritted his teeth and kept moving. When they reached the western flank, the scene was chaos. Clyrosian warriors clashed with separatists in brutal hand-to-hand combat, their scales glinting as they tore through enemy lines. But the plasma cannon was still active, its barrel glowing red as it charged for another shot. Zara was at the forefront, her twin blades flashing, cutting down separatists with terrifying precision. But she was exposed. Elias acted without thinking. He sprinted forward, his armor's servos whining, and tackled Zara to the ground just as the cannon fired. The blast tore through the spot where she'd been standing, vaporizing rock and sending shrapnel flying. His suit's alarm screamed, structural integrity compromised, left arm servo offline. Pain shot through his shoulder, but he ignored it. Zara shoved him off, her eyes blazing. What are you doing, human? Saving your life? Elias growled, hauling himself to his feet. Now stay down. He activated the drones, sending them in a swarm toward the cannon. They detonated in a synchronized blast, reducing the emplacement to slag. The remaining separatists faltered, their morale broken, and the combined human Clyrosian force pressed the advantage. Within minutes, the stronghold fell. The aftermath was grim. The task force had taken heavy losses, 8 Clyrosians and 3 humans dead, dozens wounded. The separatists were defeated, their leaders captured, but the cost was steep. Elias stood amid the wreckage, his armor battered and smoking, his left arm hanging uselessly at his side. The suit's power was failing, its HUD flickering. He popped the manual release and stepped out, the cold air of Clyros, 7 biting his skin. Zara approached, her scales dulled with dust and blood. She looked at him, then at the discarded armor, her expression unreadable. You didn't need that to save me, she said quietly. Elias met her gaze, his breath visible in the chill. Maybe not, but it helped. She tilted her head, studying him. Why did you do it? Risk yourself for me, after what I said. Because that's what humans do, Elias said. We don't fight for glory or to prove we're strong. We fight for each other. Armor or no armor. Zara was silent for a long moment. Then slowly she nodded. I was wrong about you, Captain. Not about your machines, but about your heart. Elias gave a tired smile. Keep that in mind next time you call us weak. She almost smiled back. Almost. Back at the camp, the task force began to rebuild. Humans and Clyrosians worked side by side, repairing gear, tending wounds, and sharing stories of the battle. The tension that had defined their alliance was still there, but it was softer now, tempered by shared sacrifice. Elias sat alone on a crate, his injured arm bandaged, his armor in a heap beside him. He looked at it, its dents and scorch marks a testament to the day's fight. Zara's words still lingered, but they didn't sting anymore. Humans weren't perfect. They weren't the strongest or the fastest. But they were stubborn, adaptable, and fiercely loyal. That was their strength, armor or no armor. As the stars burned overhead, Elias made a silent vow. He'd keep fighting not to prove Zara wrong, but to show her what humanity could do. Together, they'd forge something stronger than any alliance. Trust. And that was worth more than any armor.